I don't know what we just saw, but I know it was dominant on both sides. Guys, we finally got the performance from Nigeria that should silence most of the questions we've had for them, and Egypt. Oh, Egypt, showing that class is still there and making the most of their opportunities. Guys, welcome to the African News, primarily Canadian African content. And we're here to talk to you live or on the rewatch. What we just saw in these last two quarterfinal matchups, Nigeria. Oh, the Super Falcons, the Super Eagles, whatever bird you want. They are flying high today. That is the performance we've waited for. And that is when you saw my Was I Wrong to Doubt Nigeria video? This is what I mean. This is in their arsenal. And if we saw this more consistently, oh, the conversation they have. But Nigeria, dominant versus Algeria in the quarterfinals. Truly, as one friend would say, belt to bottom. Only 2-0, but I mean, if they finish their chances, it's far greater than that. And then on the flip side, Egypt, showing that when your big players show up, they can make the most of their opportunities, winning over the defending champs, which means for another year, we will have a new AFCON champion or a different AFCON champion. As Egypt were able to outlast Cote d'Ivoire 3-2 in the second game of the quarterfinals. But I think the big talking story today and the match that we were all looking for, we finally got the Nigeria performance we have been waiting for. Nigeria were dominant from kickoff to final whistle. And I say this earnestly. Throw the banter, throw the fun poking at them as a Ghanaian fan. This is the Nigeria we know they are capable of. And if we saw this, if you're a Nigerian fan, I think you should be both thrilled by this performance, also annoyed that the performances you got before during World Cup qualifiers. This is the Nigeria. These are the Eagles that we've heard about, but this is where we finally saw them look good. Oh, what a day, which means our semifinals are set for AFCON, getting going in a few days. The semifinals are set, which means we have two tantalizing matchups, and we'll talk about everything as we go through. But in semifinal one, you have Senegal versus Egypt, two foes meet again. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, the former Liverpool teammates, back together on the same pitch, competing again. That's the rematch of the 2021 AFCON final, which was also became another setting for battling for World Cup qualification in 2021. And then probably the most impressive team so far, you have to give it to them, the Super Eagles versus the Atlas Lions, Morocco. That the semifinals, if you are looking at this tournament, this is what you want in your semifinals. You want your best teams to be performing and peaking at the best times, and you get these results. And we'll talk about what we saw in these games. But my, oh my, what performances we saw today. Nigeria dominant from the get go, and Egypt showing, hey, when our big players show up, this is what we are capable of doing. So let's talk about the first matchup. First matchup, we're going to go straight to Sofa Score, talk about the things we saw in this game. I was on a stream earlier with WeMax G. If you haven't gone there, subscribe to them. Fun time we had. I remember at halftime watching this game, my first thought was Nigeria shouldn't just be nil-nil. They should go up. First 10 minutes of the half, second half, put the game away. Because the longer it goes, then I feel like Algeria would sneak back in right off the bat. Osimhen, 47th minute, goal. Next moment coming through. 57th minute. 12 minutes next. Akor Adams, who missed a lot of chances. Let's be honest here. Adams should have had a hat trick in this game. He finishes a beautiful set. And the player that we have to go and talk about, he's not the highest rated, but he's the player I say, if you get top tier performances from him, it unlocks this Nigeria side, period. Alex Iwobi, I think, take your flowers, sir. Look at this breakdown. Look at his movements. Nigeria spent nearly 60 to 70 minutes just in the Algeria side, but look at the movements. Look at all the passes. Look at the chances created. If Nigeria gets these types of performances from Alex Iwobi on top of Lookman, on top of Osimhen, they become the Nigeria that we hoped we would have. And the Nigeria that their fans keep telling us about and saying, hey, this is what we expected. I thought this would be a very tight game. I did not expect it to be dominated like it was. Now, if you want to bring up points, the one thing I thought about at halftime, one team is coming off playing 120 minutes. The other team have dispatched all their teams at 90. They are a 90 minutes team. No stretching, no extra. Their games are complete, you could argue, by the 70th minute. And it was something that I didn't take into account thinking about it. It was such a tough call for this game. I said for this game, my prediction was the lower scoring it is, I think the better chance it is for an Algeria to go on and win. But the higher goal scoring, I felt Nigeria would be best suited for that. And once we saw the first half, Algeria, they just looked like a team that had very heavy legs. They looked like they couldn't move like they wanted to. I think there's a real conversation with them in terms of yes, your veterans are your captains, are your leaders, but in a game like this, sometimes you got to lean in a little bit faster. I felt they should have made changes a lot sooner than what they did. Bekovic could have made changes, I felt, at halftime. Should have been this time for him to make changes. But no real changes came for the sides until it was already too late. 2-0. Now we have Ndidi with an injury who had to come off. And that's something I'm sure Nigerians will be watching. That came in the 69th minute. But then we didn't get any changes from Algeria until after the goals were scored. Mahrez comes off, Mazza comes off, and then Zarouki comes off. Algeria needed more life in this game. And this is a game where I think if you play the retrospect and you play the hindsight card, you say this is a game where maybe you do start with a little bit more of the youthful legs to maybe push forward, and then you bring in the veterans to see the game through. But you watch them. Algeria were not in this game from the beginning. That to me was the biggest thought. I thought this would be a very good test to see what they would want. And Nigeria just took the ball and said, no, we are going to dominate. The thing I've said about Nigeria this entire tournament has been, I think, from defense out, they are among the best and the elites in CAF. I worry about the goalkeeper, and again, we're thinking about Stanley, he's going through it, just losing family members like he has. But Stanley is usually always prone for something here. And how do you avoid that? The best defense is a good offense, great possession. And they've not had to have a game so far where a goal will change the whole format of the game. They have been ahead far enough, they've been ahead long enough that nothing has affected them in terms of getting these results. And this is what you want from a good offensive team. Nigeria have been in control of their games going. I thought this would have been a good chance. I had said earlier, Nigeria, this is probably the best team they've played so far. So maybe I was expecting more of a challenge, but they entered this game and it makes you question Algeria overall. And like I said earlier, if you are a Nigeria, if you're a Super Eagles fan, this is the team you've been saying they are capable of. And in the same breath, you say, where was this team during World Cup qualifiers? Because that to me is the greatest mystery. Lesotho sends its regards, but this is the side. This is the side you thought should have been at the World Cup, should have been performing well, and ultimately, I think this the other performance. Look, Egypt over Cote d'Ivoire was a surprise. The only caveat, both my predictions for these games were wrong. Let's be honest. The one thing I did say though was if their big players perform, they would look good. But let's get Mo into this because I know he's got things to say. He knows who he's playing in the semifinals. But Monsieur, Monsieur, oh, I see you, Mr. Smiles. I see you. You know, you and Mo Salah
Hey,
together again in a semis.
the last time we played for silverware, we went home with something.
This is true. But we watch these games.
Yeah,
I think I want to ask you that. What's the more surprising result? Is it Nigeria dominant over Algeria, or is it Egypt getting the win and then outlasting Cote d'Ivoire for the win? What's the more surprising result for you?
I think it's the Egypt Cote d'Ivoire because
Hmm.
Egypt pretty much kind of like crawled into the quarterfinals with
Hmm.
help of a lot of things.
Hmm.
But this one is a performance that we cannot take away from them at all. Salah showed pretty much that class never dies.
Hmm.
You give them opportunities, they will finish you. That touch on the outside foot to go to the opposite,
Hmm.
you have to be world class to determine that. He literally pushed a younger player. He outstrength a younger
Yep.
defender to the ball. So each and Marmouche pretty much decided to wake up this morning and be like, you know
Yes.
what, I'm playing today, and that's what they needed. And I think that's what kind of helped the whole Egypt team kind of wake up and show what they were capable of. So I think that one was the biggest one because Ivory Coast, they won their games like they were supposed to. They were in the
Yep.
groove, and even in the recordings, right? I said that's you can't take it away from the champs because they're doing what they have to. And it's one of
Yes.
those things where it's the experience, maybe, and also the the need to show the rest of the world that Egypt was not. It was not a. They're not dead yet,
No.
and
That is I mean of the quarterfinalists, I felt Egypt was coming into it with the least amount of good momentum. And again, the one thing I said about Egypt was if Marmouche doesn't show up, I think they're done. Like I didn't think it was based how the teams were playing. And I said this, and I don't mind going back on it. I said if I think Cote d'Ivoire, it's not close. I didn't think they were close in terms of how they were playing. Cote d'Ivoire looked like the better unit, but the one difference, right? We say Egypt has three big names. They have more, but people for the common folk, they'll say, okay, Trezeguet, okay, Marmouche, okay, Salah. You could argue maybe Salah has been the most consistent, and then I said out of the three, they've been getting 1.5 performances out of three for those. And then this game, they finally got 2/3 to 2.5. Marmouche shows up and is there for them. Salah shows his moments there.
Yeah,
This
and
is an
I think
Egypt side where it's when your stars push you over the limit. That's the difference. And this is at this stage, that's what you want your stars to do. Everyone else do your parts, but clear the path so that your stars can push you over. And hey, there will be no elephants trampling over any pyramids today. Okay, pharaohs are still reigning supreme. AI don't do that because that's just weird. We've seen enough weird AI photos so far. So
what you just started, someone's gonna come up with that.
oh, we know he's gonna come up with that.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
I think
go.
it looks like I think Trezeguet might, I guess, injured or something, that a
Hmm.
knock. So that would be interested to see that part. Um, so yes, I think for it was surprising on how uninspiring um, Ivory Coast was as well, because I think maybe it was the first goal that kind of punched him in the face, and then it oh what happened,
Yeah,
and I think that's where the other ones is we scored so much sooner. Then now the whole momentum is on their side, and it showed that with a little bit more freedom,
yeah,
Salah is still dangerous, and it's Liverpool fans were probably like, maybe we're not so quick to talk because provide
it's
them the
gonna
right ball and it's in
right.
the net.
You cannot doubt it. Let's go through some of these comments before we talk about the question I want to ask you is who was more disappointing for you? Was it Algeria or Cote d'Ivoire? But let's go through some of these comments here first. Prince Hood, I was wrong. Nigeria cooked Algeria. Listen, cooked, roasted, filleted. It was a barbecue out there, okay? The drinks were free. It
Shoot
was it
there.
was that bad,
Yeah, and they're
right?
fighting everybody and their mothers now.
Oh, we'll talk about that because yeah, the refereeing I felt was good in that game. I felt it was good, but we'll talk about that. Ivory Coast versus Egypt was a shocker. We get Salah versus Mane before GTA 6. Listen, you'll get everything before GTA 6. Your grandchildren will be here before GTA 6 at this point. Iwobi was sensational, the ultimate glue guy in the middle. And we said it. If Iwobi outperforms his counterpart, I think that pushes them over the edge. And he was great for them today. And this is the type of performance you want. Anchor Adams should have had a hat trick. I agree. That game could have been far worse if Anchor Adams scores his three other opportunities. He could have had two braces if he wanted to, right? You can say with higher chances, Nigeria would win. Fair, fair. Mares had nothing from even before the Congo game. Mares had some moments in the Congo game. Like I'll give him, he had some moments early on, but the legs weren't there. That I agree. The legs weren't there. Right? The best thing Egypt did was have Trezeguet on the bench and play two up top. I agree. Give him the space. Give him the space. Let them go ham and create. Well
Trezeguet
done.
was hurt, from what I
Yeah.
heard.
And then Assure did a lot for unlocking the offense. I think that's a fair point. That's a fair shout for him. Assure did a lot for unlocking because Assure was someone I wanted to see because he came on in the yeah he when he came on against Benin, I felt okay. Now they he had more. He would take more chances and more risks. He had more flair in the middle, and especially with two players who you just need to get them the ball and see what happens. Ashur, I think, is a name to keep an eye on and watch, especially as you're getting closer to World Cup and seeing what he's doing in club. Where he is, I mean, he rates outside of the. He is, yeah. If you look at SofaScore, I'll throw this here. He's the highest rated, tied with Marmouche with 2 assists, and just looking at everything he was able to do, I think he is more than fair of a player. Moving in the midfield, passes, finding great moments. He 12 out of 16 accurate passes, 7 passes in the opposing half, 1 for 1 accurate long balls. He, I think, like Steph said, unlocked a lot. And we can talk about the winners all we want, and we'll get to them. They'll have their moments in the sun. But we got to talk about the teams who got to learn. Look, what what is more surprising in terms of the loss? Was it Algeria looking like they did against the Nigeria side, or was it Cote d'Ivoire getting all the possession, but not enough goals to get past the Pharaohs. Like, is it Cote d'Ivoire? Is it Algeria? Who was more disappointing to you? And if anyone wants to jump in on that question, feel free. Which team was more disappointing to you? Well, I think you're muted here.
I was.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was Cote d'Ivoire because for 80 minutes or so, they were the more disappointed one. Because, like you said, most possession, but yet, if you watch the game itself, without the stats and everything, Egypt was cooking them.
Yeah.
Um, so I think they were the one that was most disappointed. The Algeria was like a give and take, especially that it took a wonder goal to get them to where they are now. So I always
Mm,
put that question mark, right? That you were pushed to the brink of not qualifying before
yep.
versus Cote d'Ivoire kind of decimated Burkina Faso. So like, okay, at least they're earned it,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, so I think it's just the way the champ came out 80th minute. The rest of it was what we all wanted to see for 90 minutes
Mm.
in the AFCON was a back and forth. But I think if there was not that one goal cushion all the time, if it was just 1-0, 2 or 2-1, it would have been a more exciting one than 2-0 and then them trying to catch up +1 all the time.
No, for sure. I think the first goal, like you get scored that early into a game, say a Cote d'Ivoire, you'd almost rather get scored that early because it's like, okay, it's for lack of better words, it's like the early morning slap. It's like, hey, wake up, the game's on. Okay, it's like, okay, cool, okay, we're awake. Once they get the second goal, then it's just, uh-oh, because it's all that possession, and then it's like, oh, now it's 2-0. Oh, what are we doing? They get the own goal, so they're back in the game. It's like, okay, life. Once Salah puts the third one in, it's like, ooh. They could, just because how Egypt was playing, it was just very much, listen, we got our goals. You see this line? If you beat it, you beat it. No. And that to me was just, I think that'll mess with you a lot. I thought Cote d'Ivoire, like I said, were probably not talked about enough. But again, in a game, like we said yesterday, in a game where you think the teams are equal, when your stars can push you over the line, that is what you want in those moments. And in this Egypt game, Marmoush in the fourth minute, he's someone who he needed that goal. That boy needed that goal in terms of just putting on, just getting that monkey off his back and moving. And then once they got it going, and then you saw Salah come in and do what he did in the second half, I think you can be happy for what they did. But yeah, I think Cote d'Ivoire walking into the game, I thought it'd be far more dominant, but Cote d'Ivoire got sucker punched early, recovered a bit, but then once that second goal happened, it was just, I was starting to think, listen, it might be. I was hoping they'd get back into it, but Egypt's big players came in, got the moments, got the goals, and they're on to the semis. And I think you want your big players to show up in those big moments, and they did. They ultimately did. When you look at Cote d'Ivoire, right, their tournament is over. There's unfortunately we have to have just a postmortem on them. When you look at what they did here, right, winning AFCON 2 years ago, quarterfinalist in this AFCON. What was missing from them here? Like, was it just simply they ran into a team with better players? Or is it just something in this team is missing? Maybe some players may be a little bit too old or too young. When you look at the Elephants, for you, what do you think they're missing and they should be focusing on as you're getting ready to go to the World Cup? Mute
Don't know if I
yourself.
would say
There you
too
go.
old.
Yeah.
I think it's I think this one mostly I think it's just the momentum of what
Of a
Egypt
good.
had
Yeah.
that just kind of surprise them and beat them.
Hmm.
Because I don't think that clearly we saw what that current team is able to do, right? So they've
Yeah.
shown us before. I think it was one of those games, is a win or go home game, and Egypt was more up to the task
Yeah.
than Cote d'Ivoire. I think that was like the biggest telltale. I don't think they should go full blown. Let's scrap that for no. I
The
think they
World Cup
just
now. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's one of those games. Someone has to lose it.
It's true. I think for me, looking at them, I'd say you are here. Like if they got beat. I just say be up for these games. It was surprising that like 4 minutes in, that's the only thing I can tell them, because in the other games, it's not as if they were caught by surprise. But in this game, again, they got they got punched early, a quick jab, and like what? And
Maybe you're
sometimes
out
you'd rather
coach.
have that early, but against a team like that, like Egypt was a perfect team for them to go down to because I felt they would get the possession and they'd be able to build and find opportunities and spaces. But like this Egypt, this is the Egypt we grew up with, right? Where it's like, oh, they have a goal. Oh, okay. Everything is shut down. There's no movements. Gridlock.
Today they wanted it.
Done. Yep. And so for Cote d'Ivoire, I would say a little, if I have to add something, probably just say a little bit more creativity in the middle. That's what I would look at and saying. A little bit more creativity in the middle, because if you're going to play a side that's just going to say we have the lead, we're going to shut it down here, you need more players who can create more. And in this situation, they did create. It's one of those situations where if you look at a stat, you say, oh man, look at all the numbers. Again, this is where the empty calories of possession can nod its head. All the possession, and what do you have to show for it? Two goals, the other team has three. And one of your goals is an own goal. So at this point, it's the hockey equivalent of pucks towards the net and hoping it triple bounces off someone's foot and it goes in.
That's the
So,
perfect corner.
yep. For them, I just
Um,
say just have the ability just to respond to it a little bit better would be what I would say. The run of play, like as Steph says, the run of play was favoring Cote d'Ivoire a lot. If anything, they had good success with their set pieces. They just didn't finish enough. And it's in a game like this, you don't want to just say, "Oh, we just didn't finish enough," because at the end of the day, this was an elimination game, and finishing is the name of the game.
yep, score
So
or go home.
yeah, right. I know, Steph. You asked maybe Pepe would have helped. Yeah, maybe. Speak with your. I know what I almost said the thing. I won't say the thing. But yeah, I think Cote d'Ivoire have talented players at their disposal. There is no doubt. And I think if they can get them all on the pitch, especially come March, like you get Pepe. How did you feel Zaha was here? Do you think that he played well this tournament, or wasn't really didn't flash enough for you? Like how do you look at a player
I
like Wilfred Zaha?
guess they didn't flash it off or didn't get enough opportunities, maybe.
Hmm.
And
That's
and I think there was maybe too much of a dependence on Diallo to do what he
fair.
does as well.
And
So
that's fair. Like you need to have balanced teams because it can't just be one side, right? You can funnel everything on one side, but not everyone has. Again, we're not Morocco where we just have Brahim Diaz and, oh, by the way, just fresh Shakimi, you know just straight
yeah,
out of the infirmary. He's ready to go. Not everyone has that, but I think for them, yeah, get some balance. If that means getting Pepe on the other side of Diallo, then get that. If that means you have to put Haller more up top to get more of a presence, whether that is for crosses or get him into form and getting more, you got to do that. But it's a weird game for Cote d'Ivoire where the flow of the game was theirs. They just don't have the result to show for it. But that's what happens in defending and countering. You just make the most of your chances, and that's what Egypt did. That
they
is what
sure did.
Egypt did.
And then some.
If you flip that, I mean, let's talk about a team that we thought would show up, but I mean, I think they're still fighting referees at this point. The fight is it's all the way in the airport. They're still upset. What went wrong for you for Algeria? Was it just
I
because
think they
I
just got outplayed and then maybe give him a little bit of tiredness because they had to go all the way
yeah.
last game. But I think they were just I don't think they were ready for it. Like I said, they had to crawl to make it to where they were, and
Mhm.
then they just went and got a team that was on fire. I mean,
Yeah.
and like we said, right? At the conversations, everybody was like, "Oh, there's trouble. They're not getting paid. Osimhen is fighting." Sometimes huge struggles will bring a team together, and
Mm.
you saw every passes that was going towards Osimhen, that was missing him. You see him clap to his teammates.
Yep.
Like I don't know if somebody maybe that was that one thing they needed, that little fight, internal fight to kind of bring them together because you could see they were more together and playing as one, which
Agreed.
Algeria was not ready for that. They wanted
No.
everybody's pissed off at each other. Nigeria.
Yeah. And like Algeria had an emotional win over DRC. Good for them. But the one thing that I felt was just you had opportunities, but you like the shocking thing in this game for me was from the get-go, it wasn't close. Like it was Nigeria, like for a minute I was like, okay, maybe Algeria just says they survive the first half and then they go from there. And then but the one thing I did say, and I'll talk about something tactically that Nigeria can get away with, but can be exploited. And right when they go with their 4-3-4-4-2 diamond, and they put Lookman behind Adams and Osimhen, the one thing that it helped them in was when they were defending, or when Algeria would get the ball and they would try to break out. They basically had the midfield. It was basically a 4-6. The midfield was basically a 4-6, and once you turned them over, the counter was on because then you had Osimhen breaking right, Ankor breaking left, Lookman picking whichever direction he was going. Iwobi, we talked about Iwobi earlier. If he continues to play like this is the Nigeria that Nigerian fans say this is, and I agree with them. This is the team that they should be getting night in and night out. This is the potential. That's
Facts.
the team,
I would agree so.
right? And however you feel about the different aspects of the team. Like you might be thinking, like me, oh, I don't know about the goalkeeping. You know how you make sure you don't make goalkeeping a conversation point? You have possession and you score goals,
Yeah,
right?
simple.
The greatest defense is a great offense. And
And
how
what
do you
was
deal
the
with that?
crazy? And what was the crazy stat? Algeria had what, 3 chances and none of them were on target. None. 90
I
minutes.
I thought it'd be a close competitive game. It was belt to bottom the entire time.
So it doesn't. Your goalkeeper probably could have had a chair and a mata and just chill because no, not one.
Not one.
There
Like
you go.
it was just shocking to me in that. But uh I know everyone's got things about them. I thought Algeria would have at least performed better, but again, the thing, like you said, they came off 120 and then with a win. Nigeria have dispatched every game in 90. Not 110, not in 90 minutes. The ref is looking and saying, "Do I need to add 3 more?" I mean, I could, but we're not going extra 5. Like they have been professional performances through and through. And like you have to give them credit for what they did to Algeria here, right? I know. Look, I will be the biggest Nigeria hater on any day. I'll poke fun. I'll poke the bear. Listen, that's me. But I got to give them their credit here. That performance to me, based off of the rest of their performances, I don't think it's crazy to say that they're the best or the one of the two best performing teams at this tournament. I don't think it's even crazy to say that it's crazy. I think look at the resume. Everyone they've had, literally, it's 2 goals plus. Everyone that just Uganda next. Okay, cool. Who else? Who else? Mozambique next. Okay, cool. Tunisia got a little tricky. We'll give them that. Mozambique next. Algeria next. They've played teams off the pitch. And again, as an African fan of it, Where was this during World Cup qualifying? K- This is why. Okay, this is the frustration. The talent is here. We are finally getting performances in this range. I still think there's another level to them. I do because they're not. I mean, get them their healthy fullbacks, and this is also them with a coach who doesn't think, hey, we just have to play defensively. All good, all good. But like, ah, when you look at it here, so we have our two semifinal matchups, and let me just throw it up because we're gonna have fun having this conversation. You're picking one side to win this. Who? Who? Right? We have the Liverpool Friends Forever reunion matchup, right? Egypt versus Senegal. And then you probably on paper, the game, I think if someone wants to suggest and say this is going to be this is the final, but it's in the semifinals, I get why you'd say this. But for the money's worth of it, Morocco versus Nigeria will feed families. And listen, again, my agenda is there. This feels like and if we've learned anything, Mo, whoever I doubt, put your money on that side. Okay. Everyone who I've doubted so far, right? I doubted Nigeria at the top, semifinalists. I said Egypt wasn't performing well, semifinalists. Okay. I whatever I say, guys, do the opposite. You will make money. I'm telling you this on earnestly. I have been wrong. But who do you have winning this? You have your semifinals. Who is the team that you have winning this? Because I know Prince said you asked the question, but let's talk about it. Who do we have winning this finals with four teams left?
Me first.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're the guest.
I think I
Or
might
I'm the
change.
guest on your channel too.
I think.
So
Yeah,
true.
I'm spreading the love.
I appreciate it. But
You know what? I think I might get myself in trouble. At first, I was saying Senegal, Morocco, but I think I'll stick to it.
you're gonna go Senegal Morocco final. Okay. And then who do you have
Yes,
winning that?
and then Senegal's gonna beat Morocco. Yes, I
Listen,
know, a little biased,
I can respect you.
but
You beat yeah.
there's a lot of but to it.
Hmm.
I
However, be
think
that as it
is
may.
you know the matchup is yes. I think Senegal is stacked player by player. Senegal is stacked in all of them. I think they just manage the games like they're supposed to. I don't
Mm,
think Egypt will be able to surprise Ivory Coast as much as like they did to Senegal based on the matchup of players
mhm.
performance. Because right now, everybody, if you think about it, everybody on their teams right now need their superstars to make it happen in order for them to move.
Yeah.
And yes, maybe I'm biased, but if you look at the Senegalese team, do or die is not your superstar that needs to do something
Mm,
for them to win it. And then the fun part is that the starting 11 and the bench 11 could be swapped and still be able to perform well without seeing a drop.
yep.
Versus Nigeria, they have their starting 11, and then there's a few changes here and there. Morocco,
Yep.
their starting 11 has to perform in order for them to make changes. Egypt, their starting 3 or 4 needs to perform in order to make something happen.
Yes.
So, yes, biased, but if you think about how a lot of those games have been managed, you know, I feel pretty confident.
It's a fair point to bring. The way that this tournament has gone, again, I've seen nothing like it feels like, oh, like It's the crash course, like the two talented teams. Like Steph says, I feel like it's just going to be this tournament has been chaos in the sense of don't doubt the favorites. And I would have loved for matchup purposes, Nigeria versus Morocco is going to be so fascinating to see how they want to play because I think it'll be such a good matchup in terms of styles. You got names, right? Diaz, El Kabi, right? Hakimi, Osimhen, Lookman, Iwobi, right? Bono, Stanley. I'm not clowning out Stanley, I promise. But like, it's a great match. And then on the other side, right? The brothers in arms meet again, right? Mo Salah versus Sadio Mane in another marquee African matchup. It's 2021 and 2022 called. They want their AFCON finals and World Cup qualifying games back. So that'll go to penalties. I feel for sure that'll go to penalties. So now, because I've said that, that game is going to be a blowout one way or the other. This is how it's worked. But Senegal versus Nigeria's bench isn't close in favor of Nigeria. I, I don't know. And you're muted again,
Wait,
and that's cool.
so did he just say that Nigeria's bench is more stacked than Senegal's bench?
Yeah, yeah, Steph, yeah, clarify that because I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree. I don't agree with that statement. I'm sorry. I
Uh,
think Senegal's bench, top to bottom, is rich. Don't get me wrong. Nigeria still got some ballers on their bench. Don't get me wrong, but
we have Senegal has starting 11 from their club team on the bench, from West Ham to Monaco to PSG to Lille to Marseille. Was it Tottenham? Like,
yeah,
yeah, brother, I
listen,
don't know
it's
if you
it's a
can pull it up, but we can do comparison, and I can tell
we.
you, there's more
I'll
trophies on the bench than what Nigeria have on the starting 11.
No, yeah, no, and to this point, there is some low-key Canadian content here. Yes, Bono was born in Montreal, Marmouche, Ottawa. Um,
We have more French connections than anyway. So what are you guys
yeah,
talking about?
French diaspora, they out there. I was about to say we. I'm like I'm West African. I don't because I went to French school. I'm like je suis français, oui. On parle en français ici et on fait toutes les choses, but like nah, like
T'as un peu
this
de
is
pourcentage. C'est bon.
un pourcentage, ça fonctionne. But like I these if you told me these were our semifinal matchups, I would be thrilled. And this is from a tournament you have again their storylines forever. You have Morocco, the darling of Africa, right? Right now they're doing everything. They can do no wrong. You have Nigeria, the side that when they're at their best, they are one of the best teams. Some may argue are the best team in Africa when they're functioning on all cylinders, and they're finally doing it here. The other side, you have the other team, right? Senegal is what Morocco used to be. I mean, sorry, Morocco is what Senegal used to be, right? Where we're saying, oh, hey, look at all the talent. They could play European teams, and they still have. And then you have Egypt. You see the names, right? You see Salah again. For all of like the headlines, any four of these teams winning, it's perfect, right? Morocco, it's look at how they've invested into football on the stage. Nigeria, it's look at them when they aren't, being yanked around by their federation and they're focused and locked in, right? Egypt, it's hey, stop doubting Mo, okay? You too, Mo. We'll stop doubting you too, but stop doubting Mo, right? In Senegal, it's just, hey, you do know that we are talented here, right? Like we've amassed a talented side overall. Do not doubt us. And so I love, appreciate it still. I love what these matchups are. It's great. It is lovely, and we'll talk about them a little bit more. But Mo, I know you got to step off real
Yeah.
quick. I
I saw
appreciate
the
you being
comment,
here.
but
Yeah,
saw the comment to say Chikwueze, Moses, and Simon compared to who on the Senegalese bench?
look, we have talented 26s here. That you
Because
can't look at any of these four teams and not say there isn't talent on the bench, if not on the pitch.
Mbai clears all three of them.
Resume wise, I think potential, yes. Resume wise, and by still young. That's where
Yeah,
that's the only thing I'll
but
push you back
he
on.
he
I
has
think, but
won. He has won the Champions League. He has won all of the trophies. Those guys have not even sniffed yet.
y- why did you know? I forgot about that point.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
was like, he was on that team.
He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
won 6 trophies last year.
Last year, yeah.
So that means that's probably more than those guys have got in. And then if you think about it, then you put Mane on top of that, then you put Koulibaly on top of that.
Hmm.
These guys, there's our trophies looks like Real Madrid's, but that's all I wanted to say and wanted to show you a little support on that part. You know,
Nah, I appreciate it still, man.
it's
Thank you
the
for stopping
weekend.
by.
It's the
We'll do
weekend.
something. Yeah.
Soccer. I'm a soccer dad, so
Hey, you got to be the dad there.
yes.
Hey,
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 coach.
don't be harassing any refs today, okay? We've
Hey,
seen enough Africans harassing refs today,
we
okay?
have the best African ref at this moment.
That's actually I don't want to keep yeah, Kia. We'll talk about this later
That's my
because the
comment. But yes, the
yes.
Senegalese, even though they're all talking smack about him, he's the best.
Yep, it'll be good. But he is out. Thank you, Mo, for being here. But I am looking at these games that we have. It is so fascinating to see what we have coming here. Again, there are storylines with everything. But for those of you who are just dropping by, wondering what just happened, if you weren't parked in front of a screen watching this, we had Nigeria dominant versus Algeria. And we didn't get to Algeria in terms of what I think is next for them because we try to have a little bit of a postmortem and just like a post look at what happened to them. Algeria has the World Cup, so does Cote d'Ivoire. But for Algeria, there is a lot of faith in veterans. And if you've listened to any of the comment I've ever made before, content, the one comment I'll make on some teams is sometimes you just got to throw the young players out. And if worst case scenarios, if it's not working, you have at least veterans you can turn to. I think for Algeria, Mahrez is has been a flag bearer for Algerian football for years, right? And he's part of that era of African footballers, right? He's the he's the third one, and he's one, right? Like if you want to make a tennis comparison, right? In the era of Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic and Andy Murray's, you could argue during this era of African footballers, you had Mane, Sadio Mane, you had Mo Salah, you had Riyad Mahrez, and then whoever you had as your fourth. I'm fine with that. They all were on big stages. They all performed well. But I look at Algeria and over the course of a tournament, you need the legs. And once you get to this World Cup, you're going to need it's going to be an additional game. I think Algeria for me, the next few months for me has to be about getting these young players into bigger roles so that worst case scenario, if it's not working, you can put some of those veterans in the second half to calm things down or change the way the game is going to be played. But I think for an Algeria, I think the time right now is to get the young players onto the pitch because I think they do hold a lot of zeal and they have a lot of energy to add to this side. And especially if they're going to try to be more defensive and then look to be more dangerous in counter opportunities. The one thing they couldn't take advantage of was uh, Route One football are just wide passes to wingers who could create. Mars didn't have the legs, and I think that's something if they can get some younger players in, and if it's not working, then after that you just adjust, throw in your veterans. I think that's what I would want like to see from Algeria moving forward. But as we're here, guys, we know who our semifinalists are. Who do you have winning it? Let's talk about that, and let's go through some of the comments that are here because I've been talking for a bit. But let's see what you guys are saying here. So it's on to the African Cup of Nations U20 World Cup, CAF Futsal Arab Cup winners, U17 AFCON winners. Morocco has been crazy. Not to mention host of the women's U17s, finalists for the women's AFCON. Morocco have been putting in the work, and they've had nothing but great performances. Now another semifinal opportunity for them. I mean, Morocco, for me, they have to make the finals. I think for what they've done, I think if they don't make the finals, based off how some of us talk about them, it's a disappointment for them. Nigeria, oddly enough, they're playing so well. They don't have the pressure on them. People can make whatever comments they want, you know? Like who was it who had said earlier? It was who was it that said it earlier, right? The Yeah, the Moroccan coach said it's about Cameroon that it's going to be tough because after this they're not playing competitive ball, right? You don't make that comment to Nigeria. Right now, Nigerian have this is the best I've seen them played in years, and I think if they are able to maintain that and push that, I think you can make the argument that this tournament is theirs, the trophy's theirs to claim if they want it, right? Prince Hudson, you already know who's winning it. Dima Maghreb. Okay, Morocco on that side. Go, go, Nathan. Thank you. I thank God. Listen, Nigeria wants something, but yeah, Nigeria wants something, but Morocco's here for the cup. I mean, that matchup in the semis is worth the price, is worth the thought of it. Like when you think of AFCON, these are the matchups you want, right? You want to see your best on best. And that to me, that to me, Nigeria have been so fascinating to me. I've doubted them to start. They've proven me wrong every step of the way. And this might be the team that finally tests and we can see how good Nigeria's defense is. Because I don't think Morocco would be wise to go up one goal and say, and shut it down against the Nigeria. There's too much offensive talent on that Nigeria side. I think if you're playing that game, like looking at it from here, way too early predictions and way too early thoughts. I think if you're Morocco, you're spotting as big of a lead as you can, and then you're holding on for dear life and trying to take your shots for moving on. If you're Nigeria, you try to do what you just did to Algeria, to Morocco. You don't care what color they're wearing, just saying, listen, we're here. We finish our games in 90. We are going to dominate the possession. We're going to snuff out the counter opportunities. We are going to hold up the midfield. That's the thing that I think worked out so well for Nigeria. Is the one thing I've had issues with them going with a 4-3-1-2, but what it did, and I'll show you. Oh, we got it here. What it did well for them is when Algeria would sometimes break the ball, when Osimhen and Adams would have to drop back in. You basically had a flat 4-3-3, and whenever they would turn over, whoever had the ball, you had Adams sprinting the one direction, you have Osimhen sprinting the other, you had Lookman moving up, and Iwobi is the key for them. If you get another performance like you did from him, he's not the highest rated player, but if Iwobi is able to string passes like he did today, that'll be an issue for any team that they play against. And so for me, that's going to be such a fun game, such a fascinating matchup I'm looking forward to. Prince Hood saying, for me, it's do or die for Morocco. The pressure they have on them is unmatched. If they don't win the AFCON, everybody would say that 2022 was a fluke. That's a fair question to bring up. Is it a success for Morocco that they've reached? I think success for Morocco is reaching the finals. you can argue winning it, but I think for hosting and what they've done and how their other teams have competed, I think Morocco has to make the finals, right? That to me is success for them. Whether they win it or lose it, I think that can be up. I think, and I'm fine with any argument there. But I think making the finals is a success. And right, and I see Prince Hood coming back and telling me they have to win it, have to. And tend to lean there for where they are. And we're not trying to dismiss the Nigeria matchup, but we're talking about Morocco specifically here, right? Tanzania 1-0, Cameroon 2-0. Then they have Nigeria. They they need I think they need to reach the finals, but I can listen to they need to win it in terms of Morocco and what they've done, right? Sanson laid it out, right? Look at everything that they've done. African Cup of Nations U20 championship, World Cup, CAF futsal champion, Arab Cup winners, U17 AFCON winners. They've done a lot on the pitch on the men's side. We haven't got to the women's side, right? The women's side makes futsal. They've hosted the WAFCON, made the finals, made Nigeria come back against them. It's another Nigeria Morocco matchup in an AFCON big stage game. I think I think for Morocco, let's go through all the teams and have that same conversation. What is success for them? For Morocco, I can hear they have to win it. So let's call it they have to win it for Morocco. When it comes to Nigeria, what is success for them? Yes, you could say winning the trophy as well. You're in the semifinals. Why not? But this is a team throwaway World Cup qualifying. This is their second straight AFCON semifinals they make. If they beat Morocco, it's their second straight finals. It's not beyond the realm to say you've made two straight finals and if they don't win it, I know the circumstance we'll look at them will be different because we'll say, oh, look, they put it together for AFCON, but for World Cup qualifying, they were just rubbish. But look at what they just did. They too, I think, they need to win it, but it's a different type of pressure, right? It might sound crazy for me to say for Nigeria, but I think this tournament is already a success because we've seen them look good. This run at AFCON versus their last run at AFCON are two different animals, right? The AFCON run last time, yes, I know we'll always bring up Lesotho. I believe me, I am the first to. But their run in at the last AFCON was struggle 1-0 wins and penalties. And me yelling they can't keep getting away with it, and then them going all the way to the final until they met a team that could also finish. This run has been belt to bottom to the teams they've played from start outside of the Tunisia game to their most impressive win, which was today. It's You want them to win as well, but I think I'll make the argument. I think this is already a more success. This is already a success for them because they've been able to do this well. You get to Egypt. Egypt, what a success for them. I mean, you got Mo Salah. You say winning it, that's cool. That's a fair point. Success, they've made the semifinals. I didn't think they would make the semifinals after what they looked like against Benin. I thought Cote d'Ivoire would have walked through in this game. Their best players came through and showed well. You want them to win. That's a great story. And then Senegal, as crazy as it sounds, I think Senegal, to me, out of the four, and let me ask you guys this question this way. If you're ranking who needs the AFCON trophy from the last semifinalists, top to bottom, who's your number one team, two, three, and four? Rank them from who needs the trophy the most all the way to who needs it the least. I would argue that Senegal might be the team that needs it the least. because of the conversations we have around them. The team is loaded with talent, and they make the semifinals. If they make the finals and lose, we might look at them throughout everything they've done and say they've done well. But for me at least, I don't see the it's the AFCON trophy. I'm not saying, but in terms of for me, who needs it the most, let me put that here as a banner here. Let's rank them there. We'll rank them that way. Rank it based off of who needs the semifinalists, who needs the trophy the most. One, two, three, four. Right? I'm curious to see what you guys think about that because I think, oof, okay, so we're getting some nice varied questions. That's good. That's good. If I could figure out how to do polls, I'd put a poll up here. But okay, Sonson's giving me Morocco first, then second after the Jamie comments for Egypt, and then Senegal third, then Nigeria fourth. Okay. Steph Jordan, you're giving me Nigeria one, Morocco two, Egypt three, Senegal four. Yeah, I think Senegal, of the four semifinalists, there isn't a major story. Like there isn't a big headline that I can think of. And they're falling into that space where it's just we're overlooking them a little bit. But I think I think that's a fair point. You look at Morocco in your top two, Nigeria first. Steph, explain your logic with Nigeria first, because I think it's a fair point, especially what they just did for World Cup qualifying. But it's a fair. It's again, it's a fascinating question, and I'm curious to see where you guys all fall on it. Right? Okay. Yep. Nigeria, Prince would give me. Okay, Nigeria needs us more. Morocco, don't make me laugh. Nobody worldwide is rating Nigeria high. This, yeah, Nigeria needs it more, and I think you do this. It's it washes the taste of the disappointment of World Cup qualifying out of your mouth, right? Nigeria is the only team in the Final Four who isn't at the World Cup. Fair point. I think they're fair points to bring up there, and I think for there, okay, Nigeria has not made the World Cup in what 8 years, bro. Yeah, they do need this, and they made two AFCON finals. If they get past Morocco, that's a fair point. I can walk with that. I can rock with that, right? For me, Nigeria needs it for validation. Yeah, the brand of Nigerian football has been tainted because of missing the last two World Cups, right? And I think that's fair. But the counterpoint is the fact that they are not at the World Cup shows that the expectation is even lower. Okay. So in other words, they are playing with the least amount of pressure here. There is the least amount of pressure on them. And I know Mo just left here, but Mo is someone who thinks that he wants what? He wants the African winner at the World Cup. And so because of that, I'm sure he's hoping Morocco wins, or if Nigeria wins, he wins. He hopes whoever beats them on the other side beats them because he wants the African winner at the World Cup. And I can rock with that. But hey, Nigeria's done the best to rock with the. They have rocked well with the revenge tour quite well. Right? They haven't beaten everyone, but they've taken care of the teams that are on their way. That is most certain. But again, guys, if you're coming in late or wondering, rank who needs this AFCON the most out of the four teams that are there. Right? It's Morocco. Everybody is hate watching them right now. Everybody on the Moroccan hype train. I don't hate it. Again, I'm rooting for Morocco just for the Hakimi agenda. And for those of you who aren't aware, Hakimi is going to have four international platforms or four platforms to get him as close to the Ballon d'Or trophy as possible. He has AFCON here. He'll have Champions League, he'll have League, and then he'll have the World Cup. And so for me, I said this from the get go. I'm rooting for Morocco to do well. The semifinals is great. They need to win it. They are playing with as if their lives depending on it, and that's all they have left to play for. True. Nigeria does have. I mean, I'm sure. Like, I have a feeling that England's going to come calling for them because to prep for the World Cup because England's playing Ghana, so they'll be like, yeah, this will be a good matchup and warm up for them. Nigeria's going to play World Cup qualifying or World Cup pre-World Cup friendlies. I'm sure of it. But no, this is fascinating, guys. If you guys are watching this on the rewatch, who of the semifinalists needs this the most? But to recap, you have Algeria falling to Nigeria today 2-0. Nigeria was fully dominant. Super Falcon fans, I'm sorry, Super Eagles fans. Again, I watch more Falcons than Eagles these days, it feels like, because the Falcons win. The Super Falcons actually win. But Nigeria fans, this is the performance that you've been telling us about, and I get it. I'd be frustrated too if you don't see this consistently. And then Egypt's big players came through against Cote d'Ivoire 3-2 in that. So your semifinals are Senegal versus Egypt and then Nigeria versus Morocco. The noise pollution, if Nigeria do something, please shine the light on Morocco. Listen, listen, I got a couple people I'm following there, and I'm just watching this. I'm like, yo, AFCON, good job, Nigeria. And then Ghana would never. I'm like, what? I didn't say anything. Maybe we are on another side of the internet, but I'm just here and I'm catching these strays, right? It's like, what? The noise pollution would be something. And so, listen, I like a good crowd, and because of that, though, Morocco in the finals would be vibes. But I think either one of those teams making it would be great. I hope it's not a. For me, I would hope it's a North versus West final. So, giving way too early predictions, just looking at how they're playing, I think Senegal squeezes past Egypt. And then I think Morocco squeezes by Nigeria. So you have a wait. Yeah. So you have a North versus West African final. You know, the most healthy and non-toxic of the African rivalries, he says with a smile. But that's my way too early prediction. We'll have another video and we'll talk about this a little bit later. But guys, we've gone an hour. I appreciate every one of you who've swung by. Let me know in the comments if you're rewatching this, which teams need the AFCON. Rank them from 1 to 4. I think my 1 to 4 is Morocco, Egypt, Nigeria, Senegal in terms of which teams need it the most. But you guys let me know in the comments below. We'll be back here later this week to talk about all things AFCON. We'll get our Canadian content going here. For those of you who are waiting for it, don't worry. We out here. We're coming for it. But as always, thank you. Appreciate you all for swinging by. This has been a Questie from the Africans, and I'll just stop talking right here.